Welcome to another episode of The American Dream. And let me tell you, this is the last episode of The American Dream. Well, at least the current version. We have reformatted the show. We are going a whole new direction, faster pace, new format, really exciting, out on the street. This is the last time you're going to see me wearing this suit, to be honest with you. Check out our new show open as a preview to what's going to start next week. Let's start the show right now.
We do it in the spirit of going against the grain in the negative media, giving inspiring information, and having people walk away from our show with something of value.
You're seeing a disruption in both the real estate and the mortgage space.
A lot of people are just not willing to put in the work.
What video does is that it demands an emotional response.
You know what I love about the show? It's totally unscripted.
Welcome to The American Dream. We're excited to have back in the studio again Kathy Fettke. She is the CEO of Real Wealth Network. Great to have you here, Kathy.
Thank you.
I said the name right, too,
You
didn't
did.
I?
Real Wealth Network. Yes, it's a mouthful.
I love it. I know you've been in here before, and they've had some great conversations. You've talked with many of our hosts. But today, I want to ask you what's going on with rising interest rates. How is that affecting the market from your perspective?
Well, in a lot of places, it is doing what it's supposed to do, which is slow it down a little bit. Home prices have been on a tear for 10 years. And normally, everything is cyclical about every 10 years. So if you remember, exactly 10 years ago.
Oh, we remember.
You remember! Something happened in 2008 that a lot of people remember. There was a complete housing meltdown. So people are asking, oh boy, are we headed for that? Because there is a bit of a slowdown. What a lot of people don't understand is when the Federal Reserve raises rates, there's one reason, and that is to slow things down because it's moving too fast. Prices can't accelerate at a 10%, 20% clip every year forever. It just can't work. So rising interest rates, slow it down. You just need to expect it. There shouldn't be all these headlines saying, oh my gosh, housing is slowing down. That's the point.
The hype isn't necessary.
It isn't. But there's a positive and negative to everything. If you own an asset, if you bought housing in the last 10 years, you've seen equity growth. If you haven't bought anything, it's been almost impossible to get into the market these past few years. So now as that's reversing a bit, those who have been trying to get in are going to have a little bit of a better chance because prices will slow down. The price growth will hopefully slow down a little.
So it seems only fair, which then, to ask the question then, is it a good time to buy?
It's always a good question. And some real estate agents will say, of course, it's always a good time to buy, right? It depends on where you are. And it depends on you and what you're looking for. So if you are looking to settle down, have a family, get married, stay there for a long time, historically, prices continue to rise over time, and you're going to raise your family. So as long as you can make the payment and that's a comfortable place to live and raise your kids, do it. Over time, it will pay off, and you'll pay off that loan as well instead of just paying rent. But if you're not sure, and you might be moving or you might sell in the next couple of years, I might consider either renting where you want to live and investing elsewhere, which is really what we're known for, is saying, hey, you don't necessarily have to buy real estate right where you live. For example, in San Francisco, we know it's peaked. It has gone way over what's affordable for any normal person, and even a not normal person. Even if you make $200,000 or $300,000 a year, you're struggling to own a home there. So maybe now, not now, and again, unless you're going to hold it for 30 years. Right. But maybe instead you could live in San Francisco and rent, and maybe buy a house in Dallas and rent it to someone else.
That's great advice.
Maybe buy a house in Florida. Keep building the real estate portfolio, but where it makes sense.
So then what's your perspective if somebody's looking at maybe, multi-unit properties? So all right, we're buying somewhere else. What's your thoughts on that?
You just need to know what you're doing. I mean, that's what we specialize in, and educating people on how to invest properly so that you never get stuck in another 2008. Now, back in 2008, when people were losing everything, our members were actually making money. Because if you understood what was happening, which was California was in a huge fat bubble, but there were other places that weren't, like Texas. Now, why did we know that Texas wasn't in a bubble in 2006 when every other market was? Because there was massive job growth, massive population growth, migration, and guess what? Not enough housing. And everyone thinks, oh, there's nothing but land in Texas, but it takes a long time to get land developed and have the resources and the utilities and everything. So just because there's land doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to all be developed. So we knew that people could sell their overpriced property and exchange it tax deferred through a 1031 exchange, so not even pay tax on all that gain, and buy in a market that's just at the beginning of its boom. So many of our members at Real Wealth Network got out of the crisis in time, got into a better market, got 4 to 5 times the cash flow they would have gotten in California,
Sure.
and only watch their equity grow. So they didn't even feel a recession.
That's incredible. And so, when we always talk about empowering the American dream here, it doesn't, like you're saying, just have to mean your own residence and where you live. I love it. You're empowering really great ideas that are outside the box, but still could have such a huge advantage with where the market is today, where it could be tomorrow, looking at where we've been. And I love your advice on that. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing that today. I think our viewers are really going to gain something. And I hope they reach out to you to say, okay, how do we implement this? So that was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kathy. We'll be right back with more of The American Dream.
Well, here's an exciting announcement for you. The American Dream has been a national show for a few years now, but we are reformatting everything. We're trying to keep up with the times, fast pace, run and gun, a lot of stuff happening in digital and social as well. We are going to trailblaze some new content and new distribution so you can catch it every week on the show, but also online. Coming up now is an example of a segment that you're going to see the new flavor of the American Dream. Let's check it out.
What I love most about San Diego is the pace. People move here because they know that life is short. You gotta live it in a place that recognizes that. I would always joke I can go from business suit to wetsuit in 15 minutes on a Friday afternoon. I think I've got it beat. I've got it down to about 12 minutes now. That's what living in San Diego is about. Today I'm going to take you guys to a property that we just put on the market in Sapphire Tower. This condo is probably one of the best properties, one of the best views in all of San Diego. On the way, we're going to pick something up special for the sellers. We're going to go to Donut Bar. Actually, it's here right now. Let's get some donuts. Could I get some creme brulee and then a Boston cream and a chocolate euphoria? I was gonna have a beer, but I think it's too early.
It's not too early, sir. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Thanks. When you're in downtown San Diego, you might walk right by it and think it's nothing, but the Donut Bar has been on USA Today, it's been on the Thrillist, it's been on TripAdvisor. This is probably one of the hottest donut bars in America, and we got it in our backyard. This penthouse listing is actually really personal to me because not only do we have a listing on one of the most expensive penthouses downtown San Diego, I was working on this project when I was 19 years old as an intern for the builder. So to come around 16 years later and have a listing of this caliber is something that really means a lot to us. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3,000 square feet, but you're not just buying it because of the stats, you're buying it because of the materials, you're buying it because of the Sub-Zero commercial wine fridge, the Miele, the Wolf. All these materials are absolute top of the line, and for an affluent penthouse buyer, they're the units, materials that you would really want. The reason I would buy this property is this room right here. One of my favorite rooms in the penthouse is the master bedroom. It's got floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall windows. It overlooks over $2 trillion in downtown penthouse living. You can see out of this window to Mexico. You can see Coronado Islands in the San Diego Bay. I like to joke that this is a 50 Shades of Grey style penthouse. And I like to think that Christian Grey himself would love this one feature that he has right here. And this is a hidden staircase, in case you have guests that need to leave in a hurry. The reality is for $3 million, you could buy a lot of house, right? But you can't replicate this view. That beach across the street, that's a white sand beach I surfed out this morning. For a local San Diegan, you're looking at basically the best of our city all in one shot. So as great as the inside of this property is, you realize that it takes all of it to make it one of the best properties in San Diego.
All right, and cut. Good job, guys.
We're done?
We're done.
You want a donut?
Yes.
Hi guys, it's Monica Fabbio, and I am standing here in front of the Austin Club. It was formerly known as the Austin Opera House. This was a cultural center in Austin. We even had in 1899 a presidential speech here by candidate William Jennings Bryan. It is the most highly designated historical building from both the state and federal level, and we will meet you inside. Hi, everyone. It's Monica Fabbio, Cooper Sotheby's International Realty. Thank you for joining us on the American Dream Show. Got a special guest today. This is Craig Casselberry. He is the CEO and founder of Quorum Public Affairs, Inc. Been doing it for 24 years and running. He's also worked for 2 governors and has been a part of 15 Texas legislative sessions. This all ties into my desire to bring y'all the finest news and fab properties and fun events and football and fine arts and fueling others, which is charity, food and wine. We are in this beautiful historical building downtown Austin. It's currently the Austin Club. It was formerly the Millet Opera House. Tell us a little bit about it, because you've been in this building quite a bit.
Yes. So the structure was built in 1878. Many years ago, and we actually formed the club in 1949 and moved in here in 1980. And so it's a historic building, one of the most historic in the state, frankly. We love the building. We actually, the Foundation for the Preservation of the Millet Opera House actually purchased the building recently, so we're committed to upholding this historic value and designation.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a beautiful building that's housed. It's been a roller skating rink.
Yep.
It's been a home of conventional parties and graduation parties and all kinds of events.
Yes, and the state capitol.
And
in one session, when the other building, Old Capitol, burned, they moved in here and held the session in this on the second floor in this very building.
Wow. Well, 1878, that was a long time ago. Austin's changed a lot. I think population was about 10,000 people back then, and now the city of Austin's about 1 million. We've seen a lot of change, a lot of growth, and I know that you've got your finger on the pulse here in Austin and how that's affected. Give us a little history on the growth and how it's affected.
We are now a destination state, no doubt about it. And I think, we're seeing all this in-migration from California mostly. They double the next state. Florida, Illinois, New York are all moving in. 160 a day here, 1,000 in the state per day. I think we have a policy climate, getting back to my business, really built for growth. We can largely sustain it, but we're going to have to look ahead to the future and make sure that we have infrastructure, for example, to make sure we have roads and stuff that can accommodate these the new people coming in, and other things that our Texas 2050 coalition is looking at to have a little bit of vision toward that.
So tell me a little bit about that. I've heard you've told me about the Texas 2050 coalition. What is the purpose of it? What is it doing?
We want to keep Texas the best place in America for business and families over the long term, and so we want to look ahead and frankly not be California to some degree in terms of policy. And they're driving people out. We're welcoming them here, but we also want to focus on education, workforce development, innovation, infrastructure, those main priorities, so that Texas students can fill the jobs that we're creating and companies are coming in. Let's keep those jobs here at home.
Well, it's a great place to live, and I know that you also, I'll brag on you a little bit, two things I think are interesting. That you were actually the one who started the concept of grassroots policy.
Yeah, lobbying, well, in Texas at least.
In Texas, okay.
We'll take that.
And you're a screenwriter.
Yes.
And we have the Austin Film Festival coming up in October, and that's going to be, it's always a fun event here, and you've actually won an award with your screenplay, right? Best screenplay.
Best feature, yes, one of those. Yes.
Well, that's a whole nother topic, and we're going to have to come back in October, but I want you to be a part of that because you've got definite experience in that area. So
well, the legislature will play a role in that, making sure we have a robust and dynamic film and creative industry in Texas and in Austin.
And this building, by the way, I know that they've filmed some television and film here. One being, was it The Sun, AMC with Pierce Brosnan and
Texas Story.
The Coach Royal. I think they had a scene.
It's a Freddie Steinmark movie. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yep. So we will have to come back another time, but thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
Thank you for your
Thanks
time.
for having me.
You are welcome.
I appreciate it.
And it's back to the studio. This is again Monica Fabbio, Cooper Sotheby's International Realty with Craig Casselberry. We'll see you next time.
In this next segment, we're going to be talking about who is the best candidate for an appraisal with my next guest, Holly Dees. She's the broker owner of HD Realty Team, and her special guest today, James Smith, real estate appraiser with Appraisal Smith. Thank you both so much for being on The American Dream.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So, Holly, before we get into the bulk of the interview and we start talking about the appraisals and the process, how do you two know each other?
So we're neighbors. We live in the same neighborhood in Steiner Ranch in Austin, Texas, and we also go to Camp Gladiator boot camp together.
Camp Gladiator boot camp. That sounds kind of intimidating, James. What do you think?
That's not so bad.
Not so bad.
It was bad. It was bad this morning. We were
It's hot. It's hot this time of year. But
oh, I bet it is.
today.
I bet it is. Well, you don't only get into shape, but you meet great people, as we see here. And Holly, I'm sure when you're in the real estate business, you're in need of a good appraisal, and a good appraiser. So I'm sure that this has been a fantastic friendship for you, James. I want to begin by talking with you. I mentioned in the intro that we were going to be speaking about who was a good candidate for an appraisal and why would someone even want an appraisal?
well, there's many reasons, but I guess the majority of the people will need one. Well, the lender actually is the one who would need one when they're, they need to secure a loan for a mortgage. I guess 95 to 99% of the people, it's for that reason, either for a purchase or a refinance through a bank.
When you're performing an appraisal, what do you do exactly? I think that some people get that a little misconstrued. They think you might be part inspector at moments.
A lot of people expect me to be there for a long time on an appraisal. The appraisal process is more than just inspecting the property, which is what I do at someone's house, which takes between 15 minutes to maybe an hour, depending on the size and style of home. So some people expect me to be there all day, and I'm just there to get information, which is measuring the house and taking photos. So a small house, I can really be in and out of there in 15 minutes, but that's not always the case. Sometimes homes are larger and I need to be there a little longer, but it's not an all-day process.
Are there any dues?
For that part of the appraisal.
Right, for that part of the appraisal. Are there any do's and or don'ts that you would advise to home sellers and even home buyers?
Not really, just kind of, just keep the kids and stuff out of the way so I can't have people in photos. But other than that, people think their house needs to be really clean. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter when you're valuing a property if the house is picked up. So there's really nothing except just give me access to every room so I can take a photo and let me measure and take pictures.
Sure. What has changed, James, for you in the appraisal industry since the crash of 2008?
For me, as well as everyone in the industry, a few things have changed. First, the personal relationships got taken out of it. You can no longer talk to the lender or the broker beforehand. Everything went through an appraisal management. Everything was as personal. Now it goes through an appraisal management company, or it did right after the crash. And that was good and bad. It took the personal relationships out, which allowed appraisers to do their job, which was give you a true value without any external pressure on a certain value. But the thing that wasn't so great was these AMC companies that took over, that kind of became that middleman, took a large portion of our fees. So not only did we have to start doing more work because of the crash and all the lender guidelines, we made less money. So it really became a kind of a catch-22, if you will.
Well, absolutely. Things have changed, and thank you so much for the great information you've given us today, James, on how the appraisal industry works, because I think it's a mystery to so many. Before I let you go, though, Holly, I do want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about a listing that you have. This is actually in an award-winning community.
Yes, this is the community that James and I live in. I talk about it sometimes on the show. It's Steiner Ranch. It's a master plan community. It is award-winning, and the schools there are highly ranked. It's amazing. This home is going to allow somebody to get in, maybe a younger family, maybe even a first-time home buyer. This home is priced at $350,000. It's 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage. $2,750 is the square footage. And I try not to be biased, but when I have buyers that are wanting to move to Austin, I always talk about Steiner. It's incredible. Hill country views, nestled in between Lake Austin and Lake Travis. The amenities are crazy. 20 miles of a hike and bike trail, tennis, sport court, activities for all ages, you know, free yoga on Monday nights if you want. Every day there's something at the community center going on, and you know, there's a boat ramp at the end of our street. I mean, it's a great place to live. It's an amazing place to raise a family, and this house is ready for its next owners, and we'd love to get it sold.
And they can meet up with you two at Gladiator Boot Camp.
This is true.
James, Holly, thank you so much for being on The American Dream.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jen.
And we'll be right back with more of the show. Welcome back to The American Dream as we now focus in on your local Austin market. My next guest is Jennifer Puryear. She's a veteran real estate expert and realtor with RE/MAX Austin Skyline. And her very special guest today is John Siemering, owner of John Siemering Homes. Thank you both so much for being on The American Dream today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So Jennifer, I know that you wanted to bring John on because he's really a part of your team, and you've built something that you call relationship real estate. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I think you're only as good as the people you associate with. So John and I met years ago, and he did several projects for me. And, you know, it takes a team. You need the title company, the mortgage company, inspectors, all the behind-the-scene people who really help make you look good. And John's one of them. He's a luxury builder in Austin, and he's one of the very few who people love from the very beginning to the very end. You know, and it's not that all builders are rough, it's just that he really exceeds expectations. And so I just thought it'd be great to bring him on.
Well, all builders are certainly not created equal. So John, we really appreciate you coming on and talking to us a little bit about really your philosophy is what I'm curious about. Your philosophy on the luxury home market, on the buildings that you choose to build and the homes that you choose to provide for your clientele.
Well, thank you for having me. I think the thing about luxury building is there's so many different facets that go into it, and people want to know. I mean, they want to know what the pricing is going to be. They want to know a schedule. They want to know what's going to happen. And so what I like to do with a client at the very beginning is we want to talk about the square footage. We want to talk about budget. I want to get the same kind of thing that Jennifer's talking about, a team, the architect, our building designer, interior designer. You know, I want to be on the same page where we know what the square footage we're shooting for, what the budget is that we're shooting for. And so once the architect or building designer starts designing, and if we want 4,000 feet for X and we have 5,000 feet with all the room placements, something changes. Either the square footage changes or the budget changes. So I really believe that the best thing you can do is work toward begin with the end in mind and try to understand what the budget is, what the square footage is. And so everybody knows going forward, so there's not this situation where a plan is created, they spend a lot of money on a plan, and then they can't afford to build a home.
Sure. You're really trying to mitigate the surprises.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's exactly right.
So, John, tell me some of the areas specifically that you're building in currently.
Right now we're building in Lake Travis, the Bee Cave area, and also the Dripping Springs area.
Jennifer, tell me a little bit about what is trending in the luxury market. What are you seeing? Obviously, John's homes are the gold standard, but what are people really looking for these days?
I think everything is sort of moving in Texas, specifically Austin and, you know, Dripping Springs, to more of the modern Texas farmhouse, sort of the French country, sort of a softer, contemporary, but transitional home. I mean, we've got Texas meets rustic, we've got Texas farmhouse, sort of a more contemporary feel, cleaner lines, open spaces.
Sure, big families, family friendly. Do you think some of that is in response a little bit to the fixer-upper craze?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it is. I think a lot of the houses still have that Texas farmhouse rustic kind of look on the outside, but when you go inside, the colors are cool colors, grays, whites. So it's really cooler inside, but they still have a look from the outside of being a Texas farmhouse or ranch house. So yes, I agree with that, the fixer-upper craze is part of it.
We are running out of time, but before I let you both go, would you say that the part of the secret to your success for both of you is having the best people around you?
Always, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to have the best people, and you just have to have a relationship, build a relationship with people, have the best people. And as my dad used to say, just do what you say you're going to do, John. Just do what you say you're going to do. Business is really simple if you just do that.
It sure is. Well, we also like to have the best people with us, and this is why we've had you on the American Dream today. Thank you both so much for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And be sure to stick around. We'll be right back with more of the American Dream.
Introducing S1 Connect by Synergy One Lending, a company committed to making your home buying experience easy and convenient. S1 Connect is the best way to simplifying your home buying experience so that you can get your dream home faster. Whether you're a baby boomer, a millennial, or a luxury home buyer, S1 Connect offers you the opportunity to receive real-time notifications about your home loan so that you're informed every step of the way. Apply for a loan from anywhere. Compare various loan scenarios to help determine which product best fits your needs. Track your home loan progress with real-time notifications. Safely and securely upload loan documents from your mobile device. And have instant access to your loan officer and real estate agent. Basically, we're all about speed, ease, and expertise at Synergy One, so download the S1 Connect app today. To learn more about S1 Connect, visit us at s1lending.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to find out everything we have going on at Synergy One Lending.
Penny Green here with Synergy One Lending, coming to you from Austin, Texas. Today I want to talk to you about Market in a Minute. What's going on in our industry? Well, first of all, consumers have had a hard time getting financing because of the burdensome documentation required when you apply for a loan. Well, that is changing with technology. It's making it easier for our clients to acquire their own asset verification, ordering their credit reports, verifying their own work history, all through the technology advancement that the mortgage industry is putting in place. Would love to tell you a little more about that. Give us a call if you have questions or are interested in knowing how to make this process even simpler.
That's all for today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. Starting next week, we got a whole new format and look for you. It's going to be run and gun, fast-paced, really, really exciting stuff. Call it American Dream 2.0. We're launching on Apple, Amazon, and Roku. If you want to learn more about the show, you want to follow us and breathe oxygen into this positive message, make sure you visit us online. That's all for today. Next week, an exciting show coming your way. Hope you can check it out. See you next week.